All right, let's just get right into it. Welcome back to another explainer. Today we're diving into episode 24, The Path of Light, Darkness as the Curve Gap. And listen, we are unpacking an absolutely mind-bending paradigm shift directly from chapter 31 of the White Book. We're going to explore what's called inversion cosmology, and we'll be specifically focusing on this really fascinating concept known as the curve gap. If you've ever looked up at the night sky and just felt this, I don't know, this sense of existential dread at the sheer empty vastness of it all, well, get ready, because we are about to completely flip your perspective on the actual geometry of reality itself. To really wrap our heads around this, I want to start with a story from the source material about Dr. Alara Vance. She's an astronomer sitting all alone in the Auditorily Cosmology Telescope control room. For 25 years, she's been agonizing, trying to make her equations on gravitational lensing actually work. But here's the catch. To make them work, she literally has to add 85% invisible dark matter to the math. And the thing is, she has never seen it. No one has. It's a complete placeholder, just a fudge factor. So after staring at this flawless math that makes absolutely no intuitive sense, she just crosses out her work and asks a super provocative question. What if the math is right, but the geometry is wrong? Like, what if the data our telescopes are getting is completely honest, but the picture we've drawn to explain that data is entirely backward?
And that brilliantly illustrates the core of her whole dilemma. Think about standard cosmology for a second. We're told we live on the outside of a spinning sphere, right? That's what we all learned in school, that we're just floating in this cold, endless, dead void, and that light travels through it in perfectly straight lines. But now, contrast that with inversion cosmology. Imagine if we actually live on the inner rind of a finite boundary. In this model, those massive outward distances astronomers are constantly measuring, they're actually measurements of depth, pointing toward an infinite center. Now, here is the crazy part. The triangulations are exactly the same. The telescope data is identical. The only thing that changes is the interpretation. And this inversion interpretation, it completely removes the need for placeholders like dark matter.
So picture a giant cosmic egg. Because under this framework, we do not live on some tiny planet floating aimlessly through terrifying space. Not at all. We actually live on the inner shell of a grand cosmic container. The landscape around us essentially curves up and around. In this geometry, you are standing on the foundational boundary, the macrocosm, and the entire universe is concentrating inward, away from you.
And what's really fascinating about this, what I absolutely love, is how it totally reframes our relationship to the stars. As the text declares, the heavens are within. Under the inversion model, those galaxies aren't millions of light years away in some freezing external void. They're actually curving within us. The center of this space acts as an asymptote, and if you remember your math, that means it is infinitely far away. We can approach it forever but never actually reach it. So instead of an empty, dead vacuum out there, the center acts as a presence, continually calling us home as reality iterates forward.
Okay, so you might be wondering, how does physics actually work in this cosmic egg? Well, if we live on the inner surface of a curve, light simply cannot travel in a straight line. It has to follow the geometry of the bowl we live in. Light emanates from its source, spreads along the inner curve of our landscape, and then, at the far edge, the geometry literally forces it to curve upward, getting drawn back toward that infinite center. The light wave has no choice but to follow the shape of the container.
Which brings us to a quote from the text that, honestly, completely shatters how we perceive our daily lives. Light never goes in a straight line, darkness is the gap in the curve. I mean, think about watching a sunset tonight. In the standard model, we're told we are just rolling backward on a spinning ball into our own shadow, right? But in the inversion cosmology, the people experiencing night aren't hiding behind a sphere at all. They are simply situated at the exact location where the light wave has naturally curved away and started heading back up to the center. So this brings us to the crucial point formalized in chapter 31, the curve gap. It's the specific coordinate on our inner curve where the light wave has arched back upward toward the center. And that arching away, it creates a localized absence of light. That absence is exactly what we call darkness. When the sun sets, it's not a star extinguishing, and you definitely aren't turning away from it into a void. You're just watching the magnificent visual of light curving up toward the infinite center. Darkness isn't a thing itself. It's just the absence of the wave at that specific coordinate. And, this geometric model also offers a mind-blowing answer for some of the biggest mysteries in astronomy, like the Fermi paradox. You know the question, where is everybody? Why haven't we seen aliens? Well, if we live in this closed, living universe that grows into itself to infinity, there is literally no out there for aliens to be in. In this model, the stars are infinitesimally small points of light near that inner asymptote. They are programmed ratios. According to the text, it's exactly why the moon appears to be the exact same size as the sun in our sky. It's not some random cosmic coincidence. It's a scripted alignment. The silence of space isn't some terrifying mystery. It's simply the sound of an enclosed resonance chamber.
All of this builds to a breathtaking, really emotional realization proposed by this model. The journey inward is the return home. Under this geometry, the text suggests we are not just some random, insignificant rock floating in a cold, dead void. We are the grand container holding the infinite inside. We are the outer boundary of creation itself. The infinite is directly above our heads, pulsing inward with every single iteration of time. What this means in this framework is that we don't need to build rockets to go out and find meaning. We are already in heaven.
Okay, let's wrap this up. Shifting your perception from looking outward into an empty void to looking inward into a grand container changes absolutely everything about how you view reality. According to this model, it solves the math of dark matter, it solves the eerie silence of the stars, and most importantly, it restores our profound significance in the universe. If you're intrigued by this perspective and want to dive deeper into the text yourself, I highly encourage you to explore the White Book. You can find the complete unified edition at meaning-unconfounded.github.io. So here's a final thought to leave you with. The next time you look up at the night sky, ask yourself, are you looking out into nothing, or are you actually looking in at everything?